Well, good morning, everyone, and good morning, everyone on Zoom. Again, I'm thrilled to be here alongside our beloved Reverend Sonia. I want to thank her for sharing the story of the healed bone. That really kind of resonated with me. And from when I think of that story, what keeps playing over and over in my mind is that civilization begins when someone decides not to walk away. Right? Not to walk away. When that moment someone decides not to walk away. And that's what we're going to name generosity. And that's what we're here to talk about this morning. So again, the idea came from Rev Sonia and I talking about the garage sale, right? Which is no easy, right? Dun, 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 garage sale. No easy feat, and it is such an act of multi-layered love and generosity on every level. And that theme just kind of became our motivation for this service. And generosity is not just an idea, but something that is truly alive in this community, as Rev Sonia had mentioned. And it's not about being nice. It's not simply about just being nice people. It's really something we're actually wired for. We are wired for generosity. And if you look up what neuroscientists say, those parts of our brain light up when we give rather than when we receive. So it's really part of who we are at our core. Even when you think about it, I was thinking about this the other day as I was with my little grandnephew. Have you ever been upset around a baby? Maybe you're having a moment and you're crying or upset or off a little bit, and somehow that baby comes to you, and that baby may touch your face, and my nephew will do this. He'll just touch my face and just kind of give you that are you okay kind of look. And it's like some form of empathy, but there's something in there that's innate, right? Something that they just know. It's almost that early generosity, right? Generosity of spirit, just instinctively. No one taught him that. So it's just something to keep in mind, all the little ways that we see generosity that show up in little ways. And where did it come from? You start to think about, where did it come from? How did that baby know that? But when we think about it, what would the world be without generosity? Where would we be without generosity? What if that injured animal or injured people had been left and nobody stayed behind? What would our society look like? Would we have civilization? We actually really wouldn't, would we, right? We wouldn't have language, because language is given, spoken to us before we even asked for it. We wouldn't have knowledge, because every insight that we carry has been carried and passed down, handed over freely by someone who was generous. Things like medicine, art, all those things, if people didn't pass them down out of generosity, we wouldn't have them. So generosity is the quiet force that turns a society into a civilization by teaching people to care about the world, about others. A civilization is how we live and learn to treat one another, express our values and beliefs, and create purpose. And again, imagine if everything we did in society was invoiced and a return was expected. We have no generosity. So we don't exist to accumulate. We exist to be in relationship. As Rev Sonia always says, we are here to be in relationship. And relationship is sustained by the continuous, mutual, everyday practice of giving. This is why we exist, not to succeed, not to endure, to be the person who stays with the one who has the broken bone, to be the one who feeds and shelters and encourages and carries and helps others who don't even need to ask to be helped. So we exist to be the ones that heal those bones. And that's what you already are. That is who this community is. So I want to speak directly to you. So not as a congregation in the abstract, and those on Zoom as well, but you are the light, and you are here because someone was generous with you. Think about that. In your life, someone was generous with you. Perhaps it was a parent who sacrificed, a teacher who stayed late, a stranger who did something just in that moment you needed it. Perhaps it was more invisible. Perhaps there was a researcher that created some sort of medicine that helped you or a loved one stay alive. The farmers who bring us our food, all those things, all those acts of generosity bring us here today. And you are here because you are generous. This community is evidence of that. And it doesn't persist by accident. It persists because you all give. And yes, it's about, sometimes we give time, we give money, all those things that Rev Sonia spoke about. But such a loving willingness that occurs within this community. And literally, the lights are on, these chairs. Generosity brought us here. Donna bringing the bags, all these moments that bring us to this moment of generosity. So again, you are the healed bone, and you are the ones who have stayed and continue to stay to do the healing. So the small invisible things would vanish in life. Imagine if no one held the door for us. Imagine if no one ever let you merge in traffic, or imagine if when you're at the ATM machine, the person in front of you doesn't let you know that's not working, even though not everybody does that. But, all those little things that are small acts of generosity, minute to minute. We don't even think about them. Hundreds of things a day are acts of generosity. All the times, again, teachers stayed late when they didn't have to, but they did. And that generosity caused that ripple effect. And every nurse that held a hand, that they didn't have to hold that hand in that moment, but they did. Volunteerism would disappear without all these acts of generosity. And here's the deepest wound, I think. We wouldn't know if people cared about us. We would not know we were cared about, loved. We would just all exist. And that's what we live for. We live for that. So imagine how that would feel if we just didn't know and we just all kind of walked through life. So every kindness, if it has a motive, what does that leave us with? So again, this congregation is remarkable. And with the upcoming garage sale, again, this just sparked so many thoughts in me. But the impact of this can really go deeper, because without generosity, one of the things, again, Rev Sonia speaks of so often, is the idea of compassion. So compassion is not an idea that we just arrive at. It's a capacity that gets built through use, right? It's almost like a muscle that we need to keep using. So it's not an abstract idea. So every time you extend yourself towards someone's suffering, give your time, your money, your presence, your willingness to be inconvenienced at times, you are literally developing deeper compassion. Without that practice, compassion remains just a concept, A person who never gives over time genuinely is less able to feel another's pain or to feel another's, have that sort of sense of empathy. That capacity would atrophy. And it's not a moral judgment, it's almost physiological. Again, we need to develop that, we need to exercise it. So without generosity, gratitude becomes impossible. And this is huge because gratitude is the gateway to almost every form of spiritual awakening across all traditions: Christianity, Buddhism, Judaism, indigenous spiritualities. All of them identify gratitude as foundational. So without generosity, all would wither and Gratitude depends on a kind of openness and willingness to give and freely contribute to that flow of life. So we would be stagnant. We would be stagnant. And then there's the love. We cannot forget love. Because ultimately, generosity is just love in action. It is just love in action. And every tradition tells us the same about love. It's not something that happens to you. It's something you become through practice, through choice, through the daily discipline of giving and giving yourself away, and in small and large ways. So that's the path we walk daily, without fanfare. And again, the spirit of generosity you bring up, it shows how each of you is rooted in one another. It reminds me of what's possible for human beings. So again, you are the healed bone. We are the healed bone. We are the ones who stayed and continue to stay. So I invite you to go from this place today and notice the invisible gifts that surround you. The road that you didn't build, the language you were given, the love that arrived before you asked for it. It need not be large, it need not be noticed, it only needs to be real. Because somewhere, in some form, we cannot predict someone else's bone that needs to be healed. You are the reason it will. Thank you.
If you like this video, please like us on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and click on the bell to be notified whenever we post a new video. Thank you.